What's going on, guys, and welcome back to another FPL video on the channel. And in today's one we are going to be looking at my game week 28 transfer plans. But quickly, before we do get into that, here is a quick update on how we performed in game week 27. And as you guys can see, we absolutely cooked. We managed to get a score of 71 points in game week 27, which meant I got a massive green arrow up to 565k. Honestly, things are looking absolutely great at the moment, and I have to say, this is the best spot we've been in throughout the entire season. Honestly, right now things are looking really good. We're constantly getting our green arrows and we're just slowly but surely just moving up. And I told you guys, the redemption arc is in full flow and we will make it inside that top 100k. More than you can believe, guys. More than you can believe. So yeah, man, things are looking really good. Even though the absolute bum Cole Palmer flopped against Southampton, still somehow we managed to get a really good green arrow. But yeah, the team really did do well. Like, I only had two players in my team that didn't return, and that was Dango and Palmer. Everyone else outside of those two players, they at least got a goal or an assist or a clean sheet, right? So yeah, man, absolutely just fantastic. Cannot complain with the way things are going at the moment. So yeah, that is a quick wrap up for game week 27. Now let's move on to my transfer plans for game week 28. Alright guys, so we are on planfpl.com and we're sort of just going to have a look at all the possible routes and transfers that I could be making in game week 28, but also in game week 29 as well. Now first things first, as you guys know, I do not plan to use my free hit in game week 29, right? So if I'm going to make a transfer in game week 28, then it's going to need to be with a player that does have a fixture in blank game week 29. But I do want to start off by saying that it's been a crazy FA Cup weekend, and funnily enough, guys, this actually isn't the first time I'm recording this video. I did actually record a video before the FA Cup games were played. However, so much happened that it just made that video completely irrelevant. I mean, we had Mateus Cunha getting a red card, and he was a player that I really did want to bring in game week 29, as he had a fixture against Southampton, but unfortunately now he's going to be missing that game. Big boy Jean-Philippe Mateta, unfortunately, man, getting injured with a horrible challenge from the Millwall goalkeeper. So yeah, big boy Jean-Philippe Mateta, who I was really looking forward to play with in game week 28, is probably not going to play in this fixture against Ipswich at home. So my team has been affected. My plans have been slightly affected with all the madness that's gone on in the FA Cup game. So yeah, we're here back for the second time. The first time was so nice I had to do it twice. But yeah, so listen, in terms of what I want to do in my team, right, let's just start off talking about game week 28, because Isak did play, right? The first player I want to talk about is Alexander Isak. He did play against Brighton, however he did then come off with a small injury, and it does worry me a bit, because now with the Carabao Cup final coming up, I do feel like Eddie Howe might just choose to rest Alexander Isak in this game against West Ham and maybe start with Callum Wilson, right? Because I feel like, I mean, during the game, Alexander Isak did look completely fine, right? He got the goal. He even scored another goal that was offside as well. Like, he actually did look pretty sharp and pretty, fit. But because he's got this, like, I don't know, Isak is almost like an injury-prone sort of player. And I just feel like with the Carabao Cup final being played after this West Ham game, maybe Eddie Howe doesn't want to risk Alexander Isak. Now, this could affect my team, and I've got two options. I could take him out. Maybe I go for someone like a Chris Wood, who's got Man City at home and then Ipswich away in game week 29. That is an option. I could maybe go for Marmoush, who's got Forest away in game week 28, and then I think Brighton at home in game week 29. But look, instead of making a transfer, I do feel like rolling the transfer, because there's going to be European games played before blank game week 29. I do feel like saving the transfer this week and just rolling and gaining some extra information could potentially be a lot more valuable to the team. Now, I'm not going to lie. If Isak doesn't play this game against West Ham away, if I roll the transfer and Mykolenko has to come in, I don't mind it too much, because Wolves are now playing without Mateus Cunha. And I'm going to be honest, a Wolves team without Mateus Cunha, in my opinion, is they're going to struggle to score goals. They really are going to struggle to score goals. And look, we've all seen how important Mateus Cunha is to that Wolves team. He's their standout player. He's their star player. He's their best player by a country mile. And without him in this team, I think Wolves will struggle to score against this informed Everton side. So honestly, instead of making a transfer, if Isak isn't going to play, I think I might just be prepared for Mykolenko to come on off the bench against Wolves away, and I don't mind it too much. I really don't. And then this is how my team would be looking for game week 28. with rolling the transfers, and it means that then I will take 4 free transfers into blank game week 29, which I really like. So yeah, that's sort of the only thing that I really wanted to talk about in game week 28, because my original plan was just to always roll the transfer. And even though Mateta's injured, even though Isak potentially might not play, I still think I do want to roll the transfer. I don't yes, I could go for Chris Wood, but I just don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth it, especially because Everton are playing without Mateus, are playing against the Wolves team without Matheus Cunha. So this is potentially how we could be lining up for game week 28. And honestly, I don't mind it too much. I really don't. I've got double Brentford against Aston Villa at home, and we've seen how poor Aston Villa have been away from home. I think they're one of the worst teams away from home in the Premier League this season. We've then got Salah, we then got Cole Palmer, we've got double Bournemouth, Clivert and Dango against Spurs away. We've got double Liverpool defence against Southampton, double Arsenal defence against Manchester United. I don't mind it. I don't mind this team at all. So look, with that being said, let's move on to blank game week 29. Let's have a look at all the different options that we could make with this team. Now, first things first, let's just put the starting players in the starting 11. So that means, right, I've now got four free transfers. 4 free transfers to make in blank game week 29, and there's a lot of different routes I want to take. Look, originally, like I said, I really did want to go for Matheus Cunha, but now that option is out the window. Now, with that being said, I think that absolutely means, right, that absolutely means Erling Haaland is a must. I honestly think Erling Haaland is a must-have player in blank game week 29, especially now that Cunha isn't available, because when we talk about captaincy, right, who are the standout captain options? For me, the top 2 was definitely going to be Erling Haaland and Matheus Cunha, right? I think captaining Matheus Cunha against Southampton isn't a bad shout at all. But now that Matheus Cunha isn't available, I think Erling Haaland, man, he is just a standout captain option for me, in my opinion. Yes, you could go for Bruno Fernandes, but how much confidence do you have in Bruno Fernandes in this poor Manchester United team? Yes, I know Bruno Fernandes has been saving Manchester United a lot, but just overall as a team, United aren't great, and I just wouldn't feel comfortable having the captain's armband on Bruno Fernandes. Now, you could argue Chris Wood against Ipswich away, fair enough, but for me, I just feel like Erling Haaland is the one. Not only in game week 29, but also in game week 30, because in game week 30, Man City do play against Leicester at home as well. So I just think, look, Erling Haaland, he's a player that I want. Now, how do we fund a move for Erling Haaland is the question. Now, obviously, we've got to take out Cole Palmer. I'd say we've got to take out Alexander Isak as well, potentially. It could be Mateta, but if I want to spend more, money in other positions, then I think, yeah, taking out the more expensive player in Isak is the way to go. And then probably taking out potentially Trent. But for now, let's just take out Palmer. Let's just take out Isak. We could go to Haaland. And then it leaves me with 5.2 in the bank. Now, I think, right, I think taking out Trent might have to... I think I've got to take out Trent. Now, look, option 1, if I keep Trent, I could take out Mateta, because there's an argument to be made he may not be ready for Southampton. I'm not totally sure yet. But what I could do is take out Mateta, double up on Man City attack, go for Marmoush, go for Haaland, and then go for maybe like an Anthony Elanga. I think I've got enough for Anthony Elanga. Yeah, 5.3. Anthony Elanga plays against Ipswich away and Manchester United at home for the next 2 games. So I could bring in Haaland and Marmoush, and I don't mind it at all. I'd then be benching my 3 Liverpool players, and that's how I would be shaping up for a blank game week 29. And honestly, I don't mind it. And this double Man City attack in Marmoush and Haaland, I like it a lot. It feels like a very good but also a very aggressive play. And I just want to target Man City because their next 2 games are both home games against Brighton and Leicester. I like it a lot. And for me, Erling Haaland, for me, Marmoush, these are the 2 key players for Manchester City's attack at this moment in time. And these are the 2 players that I feel like I can rely on to get goals and assists in this Man City team. So, honestly, if I was able to sort of make those transfers and go with this team in blank game week 2029, I don't mind it too much. I really don't. You've got double Arsenal defence against Chelsea at home. Not too bad at all with Chelsea's poor form. We've got Mazraoui against Leicester, who are struggling to score goals. We've got Mikalenko against West Ham. I don't mind it. And we've then got double Brentford and double Bournemouth up against each other, which is a bit crazy. But hopefully there'll be a lot of goals in that game. And then we've got Elanga against Ipswich. And then, of course, the double City attack in Marmoush and Haaland. I quite like it, right? So this is something I could do in blank game week 29. And I feel like, look, with a lot of FPL managers probably using their free hit in game week 29, I feel like a lot of the players that you see in my team right now, those same FPL managers that are using their free hit are gonna look to have these exact players in their team. I think they'll like to have Mbeumo. I think they'll like to have Dango and Cliver. I think they'll like to have possibly an Elanga, but if not Elanga, maybe a Gibbs White. They'll definitely look to have Erling Haaland, probably Marmoush as well. So I feel like I'm covered in a lot of areas with this team, and I feel like I can sort of go up against and compete with other FPL managers that are using their free hit in Game Week 29. But this certainly is an option, right? And I do want to say, in terms of like players bringing in, they don't have to be long-term options, because I do plan to sort of use my wild card in either Game Week 30 or Game Week 31, right? One of those 2 game weeks I'll be using my wild card. So I can sort of go for short-term punts and short-term picks. My players that I bring in don't have to be long-term options. Now, this is definitely one route I could take, right? This is one route I could take. Now, another route I want to show you guys would probably be keeping Mateta, bringing in Erling Haaland, taking out Trent Alexander-Arnold, bringing in Gvardiol. So again, we're sort of targeting Man City's good fixtures. And then potentially I could, instead of having Elanga, I could actually maybe go for Savinho instead, right? Savinho, I don't mind as well, but it then would mean I'd be playing a 4-4-2 instead of a 3-4-3. So I'd be keeping big boy Jean-Philippe Mateta, hoping he plays in Game Week 30 against Southampton. And then, yeah, in blank Game Week 29, this is how the team would look with a 4-4-2. I don't mind it again. Now, Man City's defence, I don't feel like I can trust too much. I wouldn't be surprised if they do concede against Brighton. However, in Game Week 30 against Leicester at home, I'd expect City to get a clean sheet, and I wouldn't be surprised if Gvardiol could get some attacking returns in that game as well. So, I don't mind it. I don't mind it. However, I will say, I feel like I do prefer Marmoush slightly as opposed to going for Savinho, because I feel like Marmoush's goal threat is better than Savinho. I feel like Savinho is more likely to get some assists, but I feel like Marmoush is more likely to score goals. So for that reason, I do slightly prefer the first option of going for Marmoush ahead of Savinho, because I feel like after watching Marmoush, after watching Man City, Marmoush is like sort of, his points seems to be more in the direction of goals as opposed to assists, whereas Savinho's, his points, his FPL points sort of lead towards more assists, right? So yeah, I do prefer Marmoush slightly, but look, the main thing I want to say is, right, Erling Haaland has to be a part of this has to be a part of my transfer plans. He is someone that I really do want to bring in. Even though I slightly do prefer Marmoush, do I want to be taking out big boy Jean-Philippe Mateta knowing that I'd want him back in my team? I'm not too sure. So with that being said, let's just say instead of going for Gvardiol, I take out, because I've got 4 free transfers, and right now I'm only using 3 of them, right? But I could use all 4 transfers, take out Wissa, bring in Marmoush, go triple City attack with Savinho, Marmoush and Haaland, and then maybe go for a Nottingham Forest defender, for example, like Milenkovic, because they play against Nottingham Forest. They play against Ipswich away, in Game Week 29. That is certainly a possibility. I know it might seem crazy going for triple City attack, but in Game Week 30, right, they do have Leicester at home, and I just like the idea of really just being aggressive with this fixture that Man City have, because I can see them racking up the goals against this poor Leicester side. And if we look at Game Week 30, right, if I was to do this and go for this triple City attack, I'd then bring in Salah in the starting 11. I'd bench Mikalenko. I'd bring in Konate. And then, actually, I would have a bit of a problem because I've now got big boy Jean-Philippe Mateta on the bench against Southampton. So I would probably bench Mbeumo against Newcastle away. And I'd have double Bournemouth against Ipswich at home, triple City against Leicester at home, Mateta against Southampton, Salah and Konate against Everton. I mean, this Game Week 30 team looks really good on paper, in my opinion. I actually don't mind it at all. I don't mind it at all. I do feel like it looks pretty damn good on paper. Now, look, if you might, triple City attack could be a bit too much. So maybe I take out Savinho and maybe I bring in Gibbs White, right? That is a possibility against Ipswich away from home. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. So yeah, I could use all four of my transfers, take out Wissa, bring in Haaland, Marmoush, Milenkovic, and then maybe a Nottingham Forest midfielder like Gibbs White. And then in Game Week 30, I'd actually probably bench. Do I start on Mbeumo? No, I think I'd bench Gibbs White against Manchester United and start on Mbeumo against Newcastle. But that's how the team would look in Game Week 30. And now, with that being said, right, what I will say is, no matter what route I take in Game Week 20, 28, 29, and 30, right, it does seem like my Game Week 30 team on paper will be pretty good. Like, I don't think I could use a wild card in Game Week 30 with this team, right? This team looks too good, in my opinion, to be using a wild card. So with that being said, I think maybe I delay the wild card to Game Week 31 instead, because I think that's when the team looks more in a shape where it could possibly need a wild card. And also, I'm not really stacked up on Crystal Palace players, right, and Newcastle players. I'm gonna need Isak back. I'm gonna need like Gordon. I'm gonna need Lewis Hall potentially. So yeah, there's a lot of changes that I could make using a wild card and sort of prepare my team for the double game week in at game week 32. So I think maybe wild carding in game week 31 might be the play instead, because I feel like, yeah, my team in game week 30 just looks really good. If I go triple city attack, if I bring in Haaland, Marmoush, even if I was to bring in Gavardia, like the team does look good on paper. So yeah, with that being said, I don't think I'll wild card in game week 30. But another thing I quickly want to say is, yes, I do sort of want to keep big boy Jean-Philippe Mateta because he does have a game against Southampton. But when I actually think about it, I think actually keeping Alexander Isak, right? Keeping Alexander Isak, bringing in Haaland to replace Mateta instead, might be better for my team, my overall team. And that's just simply because of the amount of value I've got tied up with Alexander Isak. Obviously, if I take Alexander Isak out, he is a player that I'm most definitely going to want to bring back, especially because Newcastle do have a double, and just in general, Newcastle do have some really, really good fixtures, right? In game week 30, after their blank, they got Brentford at home, then Leicester away, then a double against United and Palace at home, right? So, yeah, Isak is going to be a player that I want back. Now, that does make me think, right, because I've got so much value tied up in him, if I was to sell him right now, or in game week 29, for around 8.9, I'd have to buy him back if he doesn't go down in price for, I think, 9.4 million. Let's quickly see how much Isak is. I'm pretty sure it's 9.4. Yeah, 9.4. So that means I would have lost 0.5 million. So with that being said, I feel like potentially actually getting rid of Mateta might be better for the overall balance of my team, especially when I then go and play my wild card, right? Because, yeah, the amount of money lost is just way too much. Yeah, it's just way too much in my opinion. So, look, if I was to keep Isak, right, and get Haaland in for Mateta instead, because I've not got a lot of value tied up in Mateta, to be honest with you. So, I think maybe I'd lose around 0.1 million at most. So, yeah, it would mean potentially missing out on owning Mateta for that Southampton away fixture. But I think it's just something I gotta deal with, to be honest with you. I think, yeah, the value tied up in Isak is just so important to the overall balance of my team for when I want for when I'm wildcarding as well. So yeah, now if I was to go for this route, right, and basically keep Alexander Isak and take out Mateta, I think I'd keep Milenkovic there. I think I'd get rid of Gibbs White, and I think I don't think I have enough for a Elanga actually. Yeah, I'd be 0.1 short, so that is a bit of an issue. I wouldn't be able to go for a Elanga. I mean, how much is Garnacho? I think he's 5.9, so I'd have to go for a midfielder that's 5.2. And off the top of my head, I actually can't think of anyone. I mean, Elanga was the go-to player, man. He was the one that I wanted. So maybe I don't bring in Milenkovic. I think I could go for Murillo actually, because I think Murillo is cheap. I could go for Murillo. I could go for Nico Williams. In fact, Nico Williams at 4.4. Yeah, much better. I think I'd rather go for him. And then yeah, I think I'd just go for Elanga. I think that does make the most sense, who's got Ipswich away from home. So I think that's how my team would then shape up in 29 if I was to keep Alexander Isak, which again, I don't mind it too much. And then in game week 30, I'd bring Isak back against Brentford at home. Unfortunately, I wouldn't have big boy Jean-Philippe Mateta against Southampton. However, I will say, I've got one free transfer. I do have one free transfer, so I could take out Mbeumo, because I don't think I'd want him on wildcard. I'd take out Mbeumo, and I then bring in Ebrici Eze, and that way I've got a bit of Southampton. I've got a bit of this sort of fixture covered, right? This Crystal Palace fixture against Southampton. I've got a bit of it covered, and I think that might be the play. I think that could actually be the slightly better option. So yeah, and that way I don't really lose out on all the value I've built up in Alexander Isak. So that is definitely a possibility. That is definitely a possibility. It could be Eze, it could be Sarr, but I think at the moment I do prefer Ebrici Eze. Just in case Mateta doesn't play, and then it does mean that Eze would be on penalties as well. But that's going to be it for today's transfer plans video. I really do hope you enjoyed me just sort of going through just all my thoughts and feelings and all the players I'm considering, really. Yeah, it's a bit of a crazy period, if I'm being honest, right? It's very important that we do get this right, as there are a lot of blanks, there are a lot of doubles and chips to be played. So yeah, this period that we're entering right now, is very, very crucial. So yeah, it's important that we do get the players right. It's important that we do just put the team in a good position to get FPL points, because that's what we need at the end of the day. But listen, I've been waffling on for far too long. So yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. I do appreciate it. Make sure you smash a like on the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, hit that notification bell as well so you never miss an upload. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. It's been your boy FPL Ryan, and I will catch you guys in the next one. But until then, I'm out. Peace.